Welcome back to the Compressor Guru. This is hopefully the next to the last installment video for putting back together a 15T. And now, here's the Compressor Guru.
Thank you, camera wife. So today, we'll get to this at the end of the episode. Stay tuned to the end of the episode. We're going to give you some vital information about some very tricky measurements you got to watch out for. Because quite frankly, this is the second time we started this episode and we had to order more parts. And we'll show you what was bad at the end of the episode. So, we're using perhaps the cheapest tool pound for pound I have in this garage. I made a couple of studs out of 350 Quincy head bolts. I ground the head off of them. Come on. There we go. I ground the head off of them, put a little bit of a point, and these are much longer than the head bolts that go on this machine. So we have a gasket, and this gasket you can't put on wrong. It's the same on both sides, and everything's equidistant all the way around. So it's got six holes and 6 spaces. You can't screw this up. Well, maybe Bud could, but the Guru can't even screw this up. So we put our head gasket on. We have a head ready to go. So you can see right here we have out and 2 lined up lines. This is the discharge side of the head, and it goes towards that fitting right there. So we line up our 2 studs and ease it down on, and this is why we're using studs, because I'm not going to pinch my fingers trying to ease that down. We grab 6 bolts and start our bolts in.
So I see you're doing it the smart way and starting your bolts in before you take the 2 cheapest tools you have out.
You are on the ball, baby!
I know. Pretty soon I'll be on the other side of the camera and you'll be shooting me.
I'd like to shoot you
I
sometimes.
know. I knew I set myself up.
And I gotta grab a pair of pliers. Guru shirt on today, Val.
Absolutely. I almost sometimes wear it. Almost always wear it. It's not good for cutting grass.
It's too hot.
The color is too hot to cut grass in.
Right. But it doesn't show dirt or sweat or grease or blood. That's why I chose black. When you go to tighten your head bolts, there's no pattern like you find for putting heads on a 350 Chevy, but what you want to do is you want to start on one side, go to the other side, back to the first side and move one over, go to the other side, and it needs to go down a bit. Back to the first side, and then we've got all 6, and just work yourself back and forth going across it. These are 1/2 inch coarse thread bolts. We will torque them to 70 pound. I'm not doing it on camera, but we're going to do that off camera.
You didn't go directly across.
You're right, Val. I'm also not anywhere near full torque. We're going to torque these off camera, but they go torque to 70 pounds. I already have this tight. This is a complete unit. It's good. We're going to move on. We're going to throw all the heads on first, and then we're going to start doing the unloader towers.
thing you've used those.
That's why we're using them. Okay, folks, on the low pressures, we take from atmosphere and go into the intercooler. But on the high pressure side, we come out of the intercooler and into the head. So we actually put the in on the head to the aftercooler, and the out goes to where the discharge line will hook up to go to the tank.
So you could actually put this on the wrong way.
Oh yeah. You can put them on very wrong.
Yep. That looks like a different wrench.
This is a torque wrench.
What's it set to?
70 pound. And yes, I will retorque these after I have the unloader towers on, but they're all set 70 pound right now. I'm going to give the gaskets a chance to compress, and I will go over them probably 2 more times before this machine leaves. So those are properly torqued. Let's start with the easy to do top head. The first thing we start with is the overpriced springs from Ingersoll Rand. And they go into big holes. And then we got our unloader spider. And we get inside of each spring. And then you make sure you can feel, we're not just compressing these springs, but when we go together, I'm going to push down. And I can feel the flapper, the valve disc, and the spring compressing down underneath.
So you do live by feelings.
That's actually out of turn now.
I know, it is.
We'll set that on there. Now here's the neat thing. You can't screw this gasket up either. That goes on. And we take a large unloader tower and, ooh, butt almost screwed up.
Is there another gasket?
Nope.
Is there a spring?
I wasn't thinking about something.
Is that top bolt as tight as it should be?
Yes. So, we have 4 bolts on our unloader tower, and we have 3 legs on our unloader spider. So when we go together, we've got to put these in the right place so that the holes line up for the unloader tower to go down past the spider and connect onto the valve body. And I've got it wrong. So I tried putting it in maybe like this. But you see, these holes have to line up with these holes. And that notch lines up to this hole, and that notch lines up to this hole. If I put it in like that, I'll never get the bolts through my unloader tower. And yeah, I thought I had her in for good, and I realized, whoops, I missed that.
I'm glad you realized it.
That was
before.
Bud, but the guru caught it. Okay. Now you see how the bolts will go through. That's unloader, spider, and hold the rest of it down in place. Take that and set that. Whoop, forgot my spring. I guess spring could have gone later, but spring. So towards the end of this episode, when we're over at the table, showing you about some things to look for, this came off of one of the heads that was in terrible shape, and there's damage to that bolt. We are not going to reuse that bolt. And I just wanted to show you, when you're doing this kind of work, you've got to inspect everything. Okay, I'm lined up. Believe it or not, I have this all clean. Guys, the one thing I do not like about my ultrasonic cleaner is the rust that it does end up causing. We're going to put our new unloader piston into there. There we go.
Is that because of the O-ring on there?
Yep, I oiled the O-ring. And
Now we have a gasket. Now do we put a gasket on?
yep. Oh, I had some of them.
Now what's this thing called you're putting on the top?
Well, that's basically a manifold for the air to unload it. The air comes in this side, goes out this side. Actually, I think it comes in this side and goes out that side. And you'll see that two of them are the same and one is the end.
Well, that was going to be my question. Are these all the same?
No, they're essentially the same, except one has a plug in one side and two of them have fittings to accept steel lines.
So we know that the center one is going to have two.
Yep. Now, because there's no bolt holes through the round gasket that goes under this assembly, we got to make sure that it is shown on all sides when we go to tighten it down.
Good thing.
Okay, so we're done torquing that on. I went to very specifically 35 foot-pound. Anyway, this is done. All we have to do is run the air line to it and I will retorque it. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to roll the machine over and let it rest against this head so that we have little or no problem getting that gasket lined up on the high pressure side, and then we'll slide it over and do the same thing for the low pressure side. Good.
Do you have that one down so it's lined up with the holes?
Yep, this one's symmetrical. I gotta get bolts. These O-rings came in the kit for the old pistons. So we're going to put a drop of oil on that, make it move nice and easy. Okay. Go. So let me do the sterile thing. And that's,
Okay.
this one has a plug in it, and this side has a fitting. And we're going to put it on right there. And I'm assuming the unloader will come through the low pressure side. If it doesn't, it'll be as simple for the customer to switch these two.
So you really can't mess up where this one goes. You can mess up the direction this cap goes on.
Yeah.
But this cap won't fit on the other side because it's a different size.
No, they're all three of the caps are the same. It's these bodies that are different.
The bodies are different, but the caps are all the same.
Caps are all the same.
Okay. But you know that the one that has the plug on it goes to the high pressure side.
Yes. And I will consult the pictures we took, but I'm pretty sure.
Well, there you have it, folks. The compressor guru thinks
He's pretty sure.
he's pretty sure.
That's Bud.
Oh.
And the gasket is nicely in place.
Oh.
Oh, too close. Click, 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 click. 35 pounds. Okay, got to shift the machine again.
Okay. Already lubed up?
Nope.
Oh.
Okay, that's done. Put our 3 springs in.
The gasket?
Yeah, but where's my tower?
Lining up those holes.
I lined up the holes for the bolts already.
All right.
See, this it is a neat fit getting them down through there. Here we go. Okay. I'd say I don't like that.
Is that an old one?
that it's steel. That extra carbonadium really makes it hard to move. Actually, that did it.
It looked very good. You look like muscle man.
I did it.
And the other camera will get it.
It actually moved.
Yeah, it springs up now.
Yep.
Spring.
Thank you.
I'm the compressor guru wife.
You certainly are.
I'm starting to think I could put one of these back together.
I think you could.
And those are both the same.
Yeah, there's
Okay.
fitting on each side, Dave. Click, 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 35 pounds.
The guru would be so disappointed in you.
I know. So, we're going to set this back over on its bottom the way it's supposed to. And we're going to go over here to the table and show you what we filmed earlier for some of the inspection stuff that we had to do to put this together correctly and so that we wouldn't have problems down the road. Stay tuned. Off to the table, Val. So here's the new unloader piston. And because of my paranoia, which is well earned, we wanted to order 3 of these because in the past, they actually made these from brass. And the brass had a tendency to wear against the steel that it would run in here. And I want to put that in because I already have the O-ring on it. But the steel, it would run up and down in here and wear. So the brass would wear and you would end up with unloader problems, especially on cold mornings. We rebuilt one for a quarry, and middle of the winter they would call me and say, hey, the compressor is acting up. And what it was those brass pistons were not working well. See the play there? I'm not even going to run the micrometer down.
Can you turn the micrometer, yes, a little more that way. I know it's not best for you.
Yeah, the camera wife
But
wants...
this isn't about you. This is about our viewers.
So there's a significant amount of wear in this one here. So I measured 4 out of the 2 compressors, and this one's a whisker tighter, or whisker. This is somewhat better, but I measured all 4. Because it's so difficult for the wife to follow me on camera as I measure each of these 2 used pistons are just a thousandth or so smaller than the brand new one. However, this used one was probably 5 thousandths smaller. So we're going to throw this one in the scrap barrel, and we're going to use these. Now, this comes with the O-ring on it, and you already saw this go in to the machine. But I wanted to show you that it's important to measure these skirts to make sure they're not running too loose in the cylinder that is the unloader assembly. Now, I think what the difference might be in this 1/1000th or so measurement might be the finish. This is significantly rougher and this has worn smooth. I would not surprise me after 6 months or a year of operation, this is smoothed out just like this one is.
I like the shiny one better.
Well, there you go. You like to use stuff like me.
There we go.
Okay. So anyway, it's important to get your micrometer. This is a 2 to 3 inch micrometer. Your new dimension is 2.125. So 1.125 is essentially this, but 2.125 is the OD of this skirt. It's kind of fun, the fact that
OD, outer dimension?
outside dimension.
Wow.
Oh, you are, wow. Not the TV series Outer Limits, but the outside dimension. So it's kind of fun. The pound for pound today, we are using the absolute cheapest tool I have here, which is a stud. It's a 1/2 inch. It's a Quincy
A stud?
stud. It's a Quincy head bolt. I ground the head off of it and put a little point on it to install the heads like we showed you here earlier. And pound for pound, this might be the most expensive tool in the garage, and that's a 2 to 3 inch micrometer. And I don't know what a new Starrett micrometer would cost you, but this is a good one. And I just wanted to point out that it takes all kinds of tools, the really expensive stuff and the really cheap stuff. So we're going to move on here and we're going to show you some problems we found in the unloaders. We already showed you the bad unloader piston, or the very worn unloader piston. The one on the left is the used unloader, I'm going to call it a spider, and the one on the right is brand new. We actually started putting this together and realized we couldn't unload it. And so I ordered new ones. When we went to put the spider in, there we go, I pushed down on it, and I pushed down on it and it couldn't feel the spring in the valve. And because I don't have the springs in this, it doesn't want to pop back up. But see, when I push down on this, the valve opens.
Turn it, there you go, just a little bit.
So when I push down on this, the valve opens. And that disables the intake valve, and the machine will set and run unloaded and not make air. So when we were putting it together, I typically put the unloader in and push down on it. And when I pushed down on it, it wouldn't, I could tell that it wasn't going far enough to push and depress the valve disc. So we got new spiders in and we're ready to go back together, which we already went back together, as you've seen. We're shooting this out of sequence, but I wanted to show you all this stuff intricately. So that was the stuff I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you the unloader pistons. I wanted to show you the new spiders and things you have to look for the wear in these items. And if I would have used the used unloader spider, it wouldn't have unloaded and would have continued the pump and would have there was a number of things that may have happened, but it would not have unloaded. So that's actually going to the junk pile. And
So what you're telling us is it really helps that you've been doing this a long time, so you knew what to feel for when you went to put that together.
yes, but I don't let feelings run my life.
Yeah, I know you say that, but I think that you do.
Okay, so folks, I really appreciate you being here. We got one episode to go in the 15T series. So we got one to go. And we're going to button the rest of this project up next week. We're going to put the main seal in. We're going to put the intercooler on. We're going to put the flywheel on. We're going to put the control lines on. And one thing that actually isn't done yet, we got to put the unloader crank pin holder assembly on. And we're going to button this all up, and we'll be back here in 2 weeks.
That sounds like about 6 episodes.
We can make it 6, but we have other episodes to shoot. I have a job coming. We've got a 2545 that needs completely rebuilt. And I'm not showing you another 2545 rebuild, but we are going to do the hot oil experiment on the stove to see if we can get hot oil hot enough to increase bearing temperature to install it on a crankshaft. John, you gave me a real good tip about those bearing installations, and yes, we are going to start using the Never Seas. Guys, thank you. I appreciate your input, good and bad. Thank you. God bless. And don't forget, if you want one of these snazzy The Compressor Guru shirts, contact me through thecompressorguru.com. One shirt for $30, 2 for $60, 3 for $75, shipped to one location, your choice of what name you want on them, and your choice of colors as long as it's black. Thank you. God bless. Have a great day.